Hey there, sixth grade. So our next unit of study is going to be all about ratios and proportions. And so today we're just going to do an introduction to this term ratios, starting out with what is a ratio? A ratio is a comparison of two numbers using division. So an example of a typical ratio problem you might see is this problem here. We have this diagram to the left of red squares and green diamonds, and if I were to ask what is the ratio of red squares to green diamonds, we can write that in one of three different ways. So if you count, you see that there are 15 red squares and there are 20 green diamonds. So we can write the ratio of red squares to green diamonds as 15 to 20 using the word to in between. 15 colon 20, which we read as 15 to 20, or 15 over 20 with a fraction bar, which also means 15 to 20 or 15 divided by 20. So these are the three different ways to write a ratio, either with the word to, with a colon, or with a fraction bar. We can also reduce ratios, just like we can reduce fractions. So the ratio above, 15 to 20, can be written as 3 to 4 in those same three different ways by dividing both 15 and 20 by 5. So that's just an introduction to how to write ratios, the three different ways we can do that. And now in this example below, we're going to practice writing a ratio with all of these different smiley faces here. So we're going to practice writing various ratios given different characteristics about how these faces look. So the first characteristic is we want to write a ratio of teeth to no teeth. So we're going to count the number of smiley faces that have teeth showing. And so if we do that, we see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 smiley faces that have teeth showing. So the ratio of that would be 9 to, and I can go ahead and use a colon for this. Remember, that's one of my ways to represent the word to when writing ratios. The number of non-teeth showing smiley faces. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There are 24 faces in all, so if 9 are showing teeth, 15 are not. So that ratio is 9 to 15. Okay, next we'll do the number that have smiles to the total. Now, this might vary on whether or not you interpret a face as smiling, but I'll go ahead and I'll tell you what I think are the smiling faces here. So we see obviously these two faces here have smiles on them, so that's 2 smiles there. It looks like this face here is kind of a smile, so that's 3. We have another smiley face over here, so that would be 4. And then I see one more down here, so that would be 5. So I'm going to go ahead and say that there are 5 smiles. You might disagree with me, but the purpose of this is to practice writing a ratio, not to interpret what's a smiling face or not. So we'll say there's 5 smiles, and then we already know the total number of faces is 24. So this ratio is 5 to 24. Okay, for the next ratio, we're going to write a ratio of the number that are showing their tongue to the total. So the number of faces that are showing their tongue, I see 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 faces showing their tongue. 2, again, we know there's 24 total. So that ratio is 4 to 24. Next, we have angry to smiles. So we have to interpret what's an angry face here. Again, this is open to interpretation, but it looks like this face here is kind of angry. So there's 1. There's another angry face, 2, 3, 4. This face here looks kind of angry. I'll go ahead and circle that. 5. This is an angry face, 6. 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I'm going to say that there are 10 angry faces here in this collection. And then we already know there are 5 smiley faces, so that ratio I'm going to say is 10 to 5. Angry to smiles is 10 to 5. Okay, what I want you to do now is pause the video and try these bottom 4 on your own. Okay, and then once you've done that, go ahead and click play to check your answers, please. Okay, so these are the answers that I got for these last 4. So I counted 12 faces with big eyes. So I said the ratio of those was 12 to the teeth. We already did up here, so that would be 9. So that ratio is 12 to 9. We already said there were 5 smiling faces, so that's 5 smiles to 4. We said already showing their tongue. That ratio is 5 to 4. Silly face to angry face. Well, again, that depends on your definition of a silly face. I thought there were 12 faces that look silly, so I said the ratio was 12 to 10 for our angry face. And then tiny eyes to no smile. Well, if there are 12 big eye faces, then there's 12 tiny eye faces. And then if there are 5 smiling faces, there are 19 non-smiling faces. So I said that ratio is 12 to 19. Again, yours may be a little bit different depending on your interpretation of the faces, but overall, as long as you understand how to write the ratios here, you should be okay. So the order in which you write the ratio is very important to its meaning. Okay, so you'll notice every single time we wrote these ratios up here, for the smiles to the total, we did the smiles first and the total second. For the silly face to angry face, the silly face came first and the angry face came second. So we have to be consistent in how we're writing the order of the numbers in our ratio. For example, the ratio of teeth to no teeth, we said, was 9 to 15. That means there are 9 teeth faces for every 15 non-tooth faces. But the no teeth to teeth ratio would not be 9 to 15, it would be 15 to 9. Those are 2 different ratios because their order is different and therefore they have different meanings. Okay, let's go to the back side. And now in example 2, we're going to write the ratio in simplest form, meaning we're going to reduce our ratio. That compares the number of red paper clips to the number of blue paper clips. So our ratio needs to be number of red paper clips to the number of blue paper clips. So it's going to look like this. Our first number is going to involve the red paper clips, and then our second will involve the blue. So if we count here, the number of red paper clips, I see 1 here in this group and then 1 over here. So there are 2 red paper clips. The number of blues, I see 3 in this first group and 3 in the second group. So that's 6 total, so that ratio is 2 to 6. Well, I can reduce this ratio because both 2 and 6 are divisible by 2, just like I would a fraction. So the ratio in simplest form, reduced, would be 1, 2, 3. Now, what does this ratio mean? Well, for this situation, it means that for every 1 red paper clip, there are 3 blue. Okay, so there are 3 times as many blue paper clips as there are red, is what that means. So if we were to continue adding to this group here and we wanted to keep the same ratio, every time we add 1 red clip, we have to add 3 blue clips as well. Okay, next example, you'll see a chart here to the right, and this chart shows how students responded when they were asked to name their favorite sport. And so now we're going to practice writing ratios that compares each of the following using this chart here. So the ratio of football favorite sports to baseball favorite sports. Well, we had 10 students say that their favorite sport was football, so that would be 10. To 6 said their favorite sport was baseball, so that would be 6. So that ratio is 10 to 6. Okay, football to soccer. Again, 10 students said their favorite sport was football, and then 12 said their favorite sport was soccer, so that ratio would be 10 to 12. Baseball to volleyball. 6 students said their favorite sport was baseball, and 8 said their favorite sport was volleyball, so that ratio is 6 to 8. And then football to all sports. Well, 10 said their favorite sport was football. All sports, well, that would be the total number added together. So if we add all these numbers together for all of these sports, that would be 10 plus 6 plus 12 plus 8. And take a moment to do that, please. If you do that correctly, you should get 36. So that would be 10 to 36. Okay, if you had any questions over this video, make sure you have those written down so that you can ask those the next time I see you. Until then, have a nice day. You're all wonderful people. Take care.